Hey, I'm Grant with Grant's Game Rex. Happy April! I hope you're having a great month in board gaming. These are the best expansions hitting retail in the month of April. Every month, I do a number of videos on the retail releases that are coming out. Best new games, best new additions, best expansions. These ones are the expansions here. So we've got 10 great expansions that will be coming out to friendly local game stores or online marketplaces or even publishers' websites. This month has a lot of games that I love that are getting expansions. So this is a month that I'm personally excited for in the world of expansions. So hope you find something you like. As a note, I organize these just in alphabetical order of the publisher, so they're not in any particular way except alphabetical order. So first up this month, we have AEG is releasing 3 expansions to retail, but there's a caveat. So all 3 of these games did better in their pledge manager than they were originally expecting, so they will be only available through AEG's website. They unfortunately didn't print enough to go into friendly local game stores. So if you're interested in either of these 3 expansions from AEG, go to their website. That's where you'll get them, and you should probably go decently quickly because I don't think they have a huge print run of them. So the first of which I'll talk about is Cubitos Fowl Play. Cubitos was a game that was in my top 5 games of the year it came out. It's a super fun, push your luck, dice rolling race game. It's a little bit like Quacks of Quedlinburg, where you are building your pool, but instead of building your pool, with chits in a bag like Quacks of Quedlinburg, you are building your dice pool. And all of the different colors of dice are going to get you different special abilities, and they're going to help you race around the board. And it's a really fun game. There's a lot of different dice abilities in the game, and so there's a lot of replayability in Cubitos. But maybe you have already played through everything. This expansion, Cubitos Fowl Play, will add more stuff to the game. There are 2 new colors of dice that have joined the race, which have their own awesome, unique abilities. There are exciting new ability cards that, in addition to the original 8 colors, there are 2 new tracks. There's a double-sided track, so if you've played through all of the various tracks in the original, you got new stuff. And there's additional components that allow you to race to up to 6 players. The base game played 4 players. Now you can play 6 players. And this does feel like a game that works at those higher player counts, because you're all racing and trying to beat each other to the end. So I feel like 6 players is great for Cubitos. So yeah, this version, 2 to 6 players, plays in 30 to 60 minutes, and it is sort of a lighter medium weight game. So yeah, that's fun. And then next from AEG, we have Space Base Genesis. This is the 3rd expansion to the game Space Base. Space Base is a game where you are rolling dice and then splitting and using the results on the die to activate different spaceships. You've got stuff in this slot for 3, and this slot for 4, and this slot for 5, and so based on your die results, you're going to activate the different special abilities. When you are the active player, you're choosing how to set the dice, but then everybody else gets to take the action too. So it's there's no downtime in the game. That's one of the best parts of it. You're always getting stuff. I love that about Space Base. This expansion just adds more content to the game, as a lot of expansions do. That's the whole idea of it. You are going to provide, this expansion is providing massive card variety and additional paths to victory. The last couple of expansions sort of added some campaign elements to the game. This is not doing that. This is just adding more content, more cards. Essentially more cards and more abilities. That's the whole idea of this expansion. So if you want more replayability, if you want new stuff like that, then Genesis might be for you. Plays 2 to 5 players in 45 to 60 minutes, and it is the lighter medium weight game. And the last expansion that AEG is releasing this month is Tiny Town Architects. This plays 1 to 6 players in 45 minutes, and it is that lighter medium weight game. Tiny Towns is a really fun puzzle game where you are adding cubes to your little town board and then matching patterns to add buildings to your town. And those buildings will score points in various different ways, and there's lots of different building types in the game. Well, this expansion adds new monuments, new buildings, all of that sort of stuff. So, yeah, every building is getting a renovation to enhance its facade. There are 30 new buildings and monuments in the game. They are adding architects, which can use wild resources. So, that was like the hardest thing about Tiny Towns is like when you couldn't use something, you were just stuck and screwed. And now you add some wild resources in there. There are cozy cabins that are an alternative to cottages in the game. A bunch of new monuments, bunch of new buildings, all that sort of stuff. I also like Tiny Towns because it's like a strategy game that plays pretty quickly, that plays 6 players. A lot of strategy games cap off at 4 or 5 players. So to have that 6th one, Tiny Towns always made it to my table a bunch. So yeah, more content for Tiny Towns. Next up, we have Birdwood Games is releasing Dog Park New Tricks. Dog Park came out not that long ago. It was a game about walking dogs. You were gathering resources, spending resources to get dogs in your area, and then taking those dogs for walks and making sure they were happy. Well, New Tricks plays 1 to 5 players in 50 to 90 minutes, and it is a medium weight game. The things that New Tricks adds specifically, it adds multi-breed dogs, so you can use them in different ways. It adds trick training. It adds super locations, and it also adds a 5th player. I mean, that's like one of the biggest things for me. I think that's one of the cool things that expansions do is up the player count, right? Because you're like, man, I have a game group of 5 people and we can never play Dog Park. And get the expansion, now you can, because this now adds a 5th player to the game Dog Park. Dog Park has a lot of really cute, beautiful artwork on dogs. If you are a dog lover, this feels like a must for you because there are just so much great art of dogs. And Dog Park New Tricks adds a bunch of new dogs and new art and more art and all that stuff. So if you like walking dogs, then that's probably a game for you. Capstone Games is releasing an expansion to Juicy Fruits called Juicy Fruits Mystic Island. Juicy Fruits is honestly one of my favorite Capstone games. It was in their family line of games. So, sometimes we think of Capstone, we think of like very heavy games like Ark Nova. But Juicy Fruits was much more of a, 30-minute family weight game, but it was a really interesting puzzle. You were sliding these different fruit tokens around your board and gaining fruit based on how many spaces you slid them. So it was just kind of an interesting slide puzzle, getting resources, using those resources to purchase cards for endgame points and things like that. Well, this expansion, players have discovered a mysterious island. Ooh, Juicy Fruits. You didn't think there was mystery missing in the base game, but apparently it was. There was mystery missing. And so now you can help explore the mysterious island. It adds 3 modules to the game. There is the Mystic Island module, the Boulder module, and new trade tiles modules. So, if you like a lighter weight puzzly game, plays 8 and up, But Juicy Fruits, honestly, it was one of those ones where I'm like, yeah, this is lighter, but there's still some interesting choices and interesting strategy to it. And so this adds more modules, so there's more replayability in the game. That's fun. Days of Wonder, in association with Asmodee, is releasing Heat Heavy Rain. This is an expansion to their racing game Heat. which very popular game, sold out. The first print one went really quickly. If you are a fan of racing around tracks and stuff like that, Heat is one of the best racing games out there. It was really interesting because you had to sort of manage heat cards in your deck. The more you sort of pushed your engine, the more heat you got, and there was like a deck building aspect to it. It was a great game. This Heat Heavy Rain adds a number of things. One, there is components to add another player, so instead of capping out at 6 players, this caps out at 7. So again, this is a decently strategic game that plays a high player count, so that's really nice about it. The base game came with a few different maps. This expansion adds multiple new maps to the game. There's the Japan and Mexico maps. It adds new upgrade cards, a different cooldown that allows the player to take a heat card from their discard pile and place it back in their engine. It includes submerged track sections, hence the name Heavy Rain. There are areas of the track that are underwater, and you have to spend an extra heat to downshift in those sections to get around those curves. And just adds a bunch of other like event cards, heat cards, stress cards, all that sort of stuff. So, plays 1 to 7 players in about an hour, and it is a medium weight game. So, yeah, if you haven't had a chance to play Heat before, it is a high recommendation from me, a very fun game. And this expansion adds a bunch of stuff to it. Draco Studios is releasing Dodos Riding Dinos Dodo Dash expansion. This is a standalone expansion, and by that I mean it can be combined with the base game, the original game, or it can also be played alone. You don't have to have the original game to play Dodo Dash. It can stand alone and be its own version if you want. Dodos Riding Dinos is... Heat is one of the best sort of like real simulations of a racing game. Dodos Riding Dinos is one of the best wacky racing games out there. So my two favorite wacky racing games are Camel Up and Dodos Riding Dinos. And I feel like a lot of people know Camel Up, but not enough people know Dodos Riding Dinos. It's a very sort of silly Mario Kart-esque game where you are racing your dodos on dinos, miniatures, around the board, playing cards simultaneously as everybody else to move, to affect other things, but then you are also literally launching projectiles at other people's miniatures, trying to hit them and damage them. So, you've got certain projectiles you have to toss, and other ones you have to roll, and other ones you have to drop, and there's all these different things you have to do trying to hit other people's miniatures, and it's really silly and fun, and it's a great wacky racing game. This Dodo Dash expansion plays 1 to 6 players in 20 to 60 minutes, and it is a lighter medium weight game. This expansion adds new miniatures, which come with sort of their own asymmetric character ability. It's a slight ability, it's not going to change the game drastically, but you have your own sort of player power. There's also new maps. I think the base game came with maybe 4 maps, and so this has some new tracks that you can race around in this version. And then it still has all of this sort of wacky projectiles and stuff like that. All of that stays the same, but has some racing cards in here, new cards and things like that. So if you haven't played Dodos Riding Dinos before, it's really silly and fun. And if you have played it, but you want some new characters, you want some new maps, this is something to check out, Dodo Dash. Floodgate Games is releasing Decorum Moving Out expansion. Decorum, a game that came out a couple of years ago, was a great puzzly cooperative game. It was a game of sort of passive-aggressive cooperation because you were playing as roommates and you were changing things around in the house, and other people couldn't tell you specifically what objectives they had because we all had some goal cards, some objective cards, and we all had to accomplish our objective with the layout on the board. But you couldn't say, I need red lamps in every room. I'm not allowed to say that. But if someone, switched out a red lamp for a yellow lamp, I could be like, I don't like that. I hate what you have just done right now. And then you're like, oh, gee, sorry. Okay, I'll put the red lamp back. And so you're kind of trying to slowly figure out what other people need and then manipulate the board and the items that are in the house. You're trying to get the right layout for everybody to be happy. And if you did that, you won. The base game came with a bunch of different scenarios, a bunch of different envelopes that you would open up, and that would be the puzzle for that game. This is a two-player only expansion, so the original game had both two-player scenarios and 3 to 4 player scenarios, so this is only 2 players, but adds a bunch of new scenarios. It adds 20 unique scenarios, so if you've already played through all of the scenarios in the base game, you've got 20 unique ones to play through here. You know, all of them unique challenges. This adds like moving boxes, bubble wrap, vehicles, things like that. So not just sort of kitchen, bathroom, static rooms in your apartment. This is now, you have to move out of your apartment and you're working with your partner in order to accomplish that. And hopefully you don't get mad at each other. Hopefully your relationship survives this moving experience, because it doesn't always. It doesn't always. And yeah, if you like puzzly cooperative games, if you want a 2-player cooperative game, then Decorum is worth checking out for sure. Indie Boards and Cards is releasing Astro Eternity Fly the Savage Skies expansion. So Astro is a game that came out last year, and it was sort of a re-implementation of Aeon's End. Astro streamlined Aeon's End, made it more approachable, made the setup easier, made the rules a little smoother, all of those sort of things. Basically tried to take the Aeon's End system and make it more approachable for newer players. Well, then Astro Eternity was a version of Astro that added some narrative and some campaign stuff into the game Astro. So this game that I'm talking about right now, Astro Eternity Savage Skies, is an expansion for that more narrative version of Astro which is the re-implementation of Aeon's End. I hope you kept all that straight. I hope you got it there. So this expansion, Savage Skies, plays 1 to 4 players, 45 to 60 minutes, and just adds a lot of content. There are 2 new characters you can play as, 2 new knights. There's a new boss in the game. There are 6 new weapon cards. There's a new tech card. There's a new homeworld card. There's a new invention card. There's a new combo card. Just a bunch of different new cards for the game Astro Eternity. I haven't played Astro Eternity, but I did play Astro and I really liked it. And I do think that it succeeded in making the Aeon's End system a little bit easier to get into, a little bit more approachable for people. So I'm really glad that Astro exists, because it's a fun deck building sort of work together, cooperative, beat the bad guy game. So yeah, if you like it, check it out. Fly the Savage Skies. Renegade Game Studios is releasing an expansion to their game G.I. Joe Mission Critical. This is Cobra Ascendant. G.I. Joe Mission Critical is a cooperative miniatures game where you are working together to beat bad guys. You're facing off against different bad guys. And in this expansion, there are 2 new heroes in the game. There are Bazooka and Rock and Roll. It adds a new boss to the game, Serpentor. It adds 2 new lieutenants, 2 new vehicles, and a bunch of other cards to the game, a bunch of other stuff to the game. So miniatures game, modular board coming out. You're moving around, fighting bad guys, and working together as a team to accomplish it. We all love teamwork. Not everybody loves cooperative games, but you should still like teamwork. Sharing is caring. I don't know now I'm just rambling. That's all I have for you this month, and I'm just keeping the video going. But we don't need to. Those were 10 great expansions that are coming out in April, and they speak for themselves because they're all great expansions to games that I really like. A lot of them are games I've played already and games that I really enjoy. So I'm excited for this month, and I hope you found something that you're excited about too. If you want to support the channel, you're welcome to check out my Patreon, Grant's Game Rex. Patreon.com/GrantsGameRex. And yeah, I'll be back with more videos here soon. Thanks so much, everybody.